This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
This is the Mikedjkelly podcast.
Mikedjkelly, Mikedjkelly, Mikedjkelly.
Here we go, whiz, bang, zap, crackle, hop, and we're into the strange and funny world of the Mike.djkelly Shorter Than Short podcast. What do we want? When do we want it? Hello and welcome. Let's get going.
On this week's podcast,
In this new chunky bite-sized version with the powers of Mystic Meg, we'll be asking, does snow last as long as it used to? And what do you feed birds with now they've stopped putting rind on bacon? In the show, 50s food, Greg's Steak and Bake, Dr. Wolves, Rupert Murdock, Dettol, ABBA, Steph's Packed Thingy, competitions, charities, and a whole lot more.
this is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
Just been reading a list about food in the 1950s. Here's a few highlights. Curry was a surname. A takeaway was a mathematical problem. Crisps were plain, only option with or without salt. Rice was eaten as a milk pudding. Cooking outside was called camping. Oil was for lubricating. Fat was for cooking.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Many people commenting on this, so they're erecting huge TV screens in public places for the King's coronation. Why? Do people not have TVs or mobile phones? Or is this to rub salt in the wounds of the homeless? And where's the money coming from to pay for them? Are you looking to improve your home this spring? Why not get a moat? We offer an end-to-end service and can install your moat in 3 days. Just think how you'll stand out from the neighbours. And what's more, no more unwanted callers. We provide oblong, circular or U-shaped moats to suit your property. If you live in a shared property like a block of flats, we can set up a deal where all neighbours share the cost. Having a moat around your property makes it more secure and reduced insurance premiums. If you want, we can do a water-filled moat with fish in them and even set up a fishing rights zone so anyone fishing in your moat has to pay you. As a special offer, the first 10 replies to this advert will receive 20% off the cost of a solar-powered drawbridge. Just text the word moat to 12345 for more details.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
People asking for the new male fashion statement, the circle beard, the facial equivalent of a beard.
What is a circle beard?
Google it, you'll see some extraordinary pictures.
Gosh, they look like they have a belt under their chin and then up over their head.
Yes, it's a narrow band of hair over the head and under the chin. Looks a bit stupid, bit like people with tattooed faces.
I don't think I would feel comfortable standing next to somebody in a pub with one. I think they should have a sign on the door saying they are not allowed in. Did you say Alexa listens to everything I say at home?
Yes, I did.
I wondered why I kept seeing adverts for Dr. Wolves.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
If you're new to the Mike.djkelly Shorter Than Short podcast, you can still get to hear all previous episodes just by searching or shouting the Mike.djkelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Bought a packet of wasabi peas. Now that's what I call a challenge. Does anybody ever buy a second bag? Anybody remember in the 1960s when KFC used to be finger licking, or was it just that we did not know any better? On food, bought a steak and bake at 8 a.m. at Greg's in Otley. It was clapped cold. Should be renamed steak slice. Certainly should not have the word bake in the title. I see a story in The Guardian talking about Rupert Murdock and girlfriend and about going to get married this summer, and it gives a Murdock quote saying, "We're both looking forward to spending the second halves of our lives together." In case you don't know, he is 92. Out there on Twitter, Jane Hill, I think the latest soon-to-be Mrs. Rupert Murdock, has probably timed it just about right. Like the person who hovers near a chair just before the music stops. Howard Beckett, The UK branch of the Silicon Valley Bank has paid out $15 million in bonuses a matter of days after being bailed out by HSBC. The banking sector is bang at it. Sheena, today's budget was about as useful as those stickers you get on apples.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Alexa has to listen to everything you're saying to recognise the trigger word of Alexa. Yes, they say they don't use the other data they have gathered by listening. I love the smell of Dettol. I think they should make a Dettol car air freshener to hang from the mirror.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Do you think crisp bags are getting smaller? I used to be able to put my hands in to get the crumbs out of the bottom. I suppose it's me. Better get an appointment with the doctor about the size of my hands increasing.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Professor Frank McDonoghue on Twitter at FMXC1957, March 1987, Maria von Trapp died aged 82. Her story as a member of the touring Von Trapp family choir was the basis for the hugely successful Hollywood musical The Sound of Music, in which Maria was played by Julie Andrews. March 1964, pirate pop music radio station Radio Caroline began transmitting from a ship in the North Sea at noon on 1520 kHz 199 meters, with the opening conducted by Simon D. The first programme was pre-recorded with host Chris Moore.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Today's do-gooders are Turn to Us and can be found at turntous.org.uk. Turn to Us wants everyone to have financial security. Use the benefits calculator or grant search to find out what help you can get. Check your benefits entitlement. Millions of people are missing out. Check what you are entitled to now. Search for a grant. There are many grants that provide financial support to people who need it. Energy and water bills. Find out what benefits, grants and other schemes may be available to you. Find out more at Turn to Us website at Turn to Us, that's TURN figure 2 us.org.uk.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
If you're on LinkedIn, you'll be used to getting links for people they think you might want to connect link with. Not sure why they sent me a link to Rishi Sunak.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Famous people's impersonation spot. You're fired.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
So the famous ABBA party that the police will not investigate, is that due to links to a member of the royal family being in attendance, or was it a Russian oligarch? Good to know Premier League clubs are flying to UK-based games to save time. Some flights only last 15 minutes in duration. Mind you, in many cases the jets fly down from their base in Scotland to pick them up. How green is that?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
And now it's the music competition. Name the song or the artiste. I was walking down the high street when I heard footsteps behind me, and there was a little old man in scarlet and grey shuffling away. Name the song or the artiste.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Why do race meetings that ITV are broadcasting live and dancing on ice become news stories on the ITN News?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Fake Showbiz News at Fake Showbiz News on Twitter. The Dalai Lama says one of his favourite pop tracks of the past 20 years is Lady Gaga's Paparazzi. She should be very proud of what she has achieved with this record, His Holiness said. Anthea Turner unveils 15-point plan to give her home city of Stoke a more classy reputation, including persuading violinist Vanessa May to move there and renaming all streets Boulevard. Phil the Power Taylor vows never to appear on Sky Sports again after caption typo sees him labelled former world farts champion. Breaking, Britain's Will Young disqualified from World Pass the Parcel Championships in Oslo for keeping hold of the parcel for too long.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Guess the celebrity. Born 19th of April 1935, he was an English actor, comedian, musician and composer. He first came to prominence in the UK as a leading figure in the British satire boom of the 1960s. He was one of the 4 writer-performers in the comedy revue Beyond the Fringe from 1960 that created a boom in satirical comedy. He worked as a partner in a double act and worked on other projects until the mid-1970s, by which time he'd settled in Los Angeles to concentrate on his film acting. His solo career as a comedy film actor was heightened by the success of his hit Hollywood films, particularly Foul Play, 10 and Arthur. Who is he?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Do you need an ensuite in the house when the bathroom is just next door? And more from Twitter. Happy toast. Day 3 of only eating crisps. There should be breakfast, lunch and dinner flavour crisps, an assortment of pudding. Healthy lentil crisps have provided a necessary respite from the potato intake. Drinking crisps is almost impossible, but I will persevere for Gary. Claire Hepworth, OBE. King Charles blocks Andrew's $32k a year bill for live-in yoga guru, telling younger brother to pay for it himself. Danny Baker. Thing is, with the match of the day, no pundits news, we can see how government influence difference can shut down, manage a programme. Thus, all would-be political shows you see on the BBC are obviously towing a line.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Late news. The Easter chocolate orange in the Easter-style box is the same price as a normal chocolate orange, but the orange is 5 grams lighter. Why do the TV studio audience on Steph's packed lunch look to be such a bunch of weirdos? I live in Leeds. I've not seen these people loose on the streets. Is it just me, or does everybody think electric cars are ugly? What is the King James Bible? Ours was just a Bible. R.I.P. Paul O'Grady, a.k.a. Lily Savage, who I once met when he popped into the patio bar in Wakefield before turning on the Christmas lights many years ago. Do you throw the washing tab into the machine before you put the washing in? Neither do we. When the TV covers the French pension demonstrations and says how large the crowd was taking part, how do they know this? I suppose it's good that they cover the French protest marches because they miss all the ones in the UK. But still, how do they know the size of the crowd? UK's main turnip grower goes out of business because not enough people are eating turnips. Have you seen that new Challenge Annika type show? Bit drab, but how old's Annika? She was born in 1958. What is Dr. Wolf's cream? Has the clock stopped ticking for TikTok?
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Okay, it's time to go. Name the song or the artiste. I was walking down the high street when I heard footsteps behind me, and there was a little old man in scarlet and grey shuffling away. It was David Bowie and the Laughing Gnome. Laughing? Is that allowed anymore? And the famous person's people impersonation spot was Alan Michael Sugar, or if you like, Baron Sugar, born 24th of March 1947. Guess the celebrity? Born 19th of April 1935. He was an English actor, comedian, musician and composer. He first came to prominence in the UK as a leading figure in the British satire boom of the 1960s. He worked as a partner in a double act and worked on other projects until the mid-1970s. His solo career as a comedy film actor was heightened by the success of his hit Hollywood films, particularly Foul Play, 10 and Arthur. Who is he? Dudley Moore, or to give him his full name, Dudley Stewart John Moore, CBE. Today's do-gooders are Turn to Us and can be found at turntous.org.uk. Guess what? That's enough for this chunky bite-sized edition of the Crazy Shorter Than Short podcast show. From me, Mike Kelly.
And me, Joyce.
Thank you for listening. Please take care out there. And remember, you can always find the podcast by searching or shouting the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly.